So I've been saying this to a lot of my clients that I teach English to over in Korea, and I can't say this enough, even to my friends back in the States, that President Joe Biden is Asia's number one president. It's just the truth. Joe Biden, he is Asia's number one president. He's better for Asia than the Asian presidents that we have. Because, and a lot of it's not his fault, it's just his party. And the reason I say this is because you look at America, they just print a lot of money. They just passed a bill to print out $1.9 trillion. And you're giving all this money, free money out to people who aren't working, which I can understand, because some of them, they really need it. But from my understanding, you might have 25% of the population where they're actually receiving more money from the government for not working than what they were actually making when they were working pre-COVID-19. So you're going to have the demand to buy still there, yet the country itself, the level of production is still down. Like, some parts of the country still closed down. They're not producing anything. And you have a lot of people just buying things from Amazon, from Walmart, Target, wherever. And where do you think those things come from? They come from Asia. They come from this part of the world. And so later, you got to pay tax on all that. The government doesn't make money. This is what people need to understand. The government does not make money. Your politicians, they don't produce nothing. They don't make any money. And so the only thing they do is they just reallocate money from one group of people to another group. They just take money from one group and give it to another group of people, or they could just print money. And when they print money, all they're really doing is just they're taking the purchasing power of the people who are saving money. Because the more you have of something, the value of it goes down. And the more money you print, the value of the money goes down. That's why even in America, from my understanding, just from my friends or what I'm watching from The Economist, is that, you have inflation. You go to the grocery store and you can see a difference. You can see the difference in prices. So you have to pay tax on that $1.9 trillion that the current President Joe Biden printed, or is going to print. And what happens is you send all that money out, or not even all, you're really just sending a small portion of it out to the citizens to buy products that are made in another country, which means that a lot of the money is leaving America. It's not even staying in America. So all you're doing is you're making other countries wealthy, because in Asia, they're producing. Their production level is up, is back to normal almost, if not there's close to it, while America's production level is down by a lot. And later, you got to pay tax back. You got to pay back the $1.9 trillion. So if you have a bubble this big, that's 1.9 trillion, and you got to pay taxes for it, you need all that money circulating in the country. Because as that money circulates, you need to pay back the money that you borrowed by just printing money. But yet, out of that 1.9 trillion, you might see hundreds of billions of dollars going into China, Vietnam, Korea, Japan, all these other Asian countries, India. And so now, when you need to pay back $1.9 trillion in taxes, you only have, who knows, whatever. I would imagine you still have $1 trillion, but maybe you're going to have several hundred billions of dollars missing, because it went over to another, other parts of the world. And how are you going to pay back $1.9 trillion worth of taxes when maybe you don't even have $1.4 trillion circulating in the country? And so what Joe Biden has done is he has become our number one president because he has made us wealthy. And so, I live in South Korea, or anybody who living in Asia, most of us will tell you that, our economy has been taken a big hit. Our industries have taken a big hit, and the economy's not what it used to be. However, we're able to survive because we're exporting all our goods. And how is it that we can export all our goods? Because you have presidents like Joe Biden in America, or other presidents or leaders in Europe doing the same thing, where they're just shutting down the production while just handing out free money, and all that money is coming over to Asia. And so that's why over here, the South Korean economy, China or Vietnam, Japan, whatever, we're able to survive even though we've been taking big losses, but we're still able to survive because we're getting all that money coming from America. And that's why Joe Biden is Asia's #1 president. And, that's just how it is. You look at it, American citizens or citizens in Europe, they're forced to buy our goods without any competition. You go, before, when America was very productive, you have goods coming from here, but the people can choose which products they want to buy based on the quality of the products. But now you don't even have American products to buy. If you're an American, you have nothing but products coming from Asia. So you're forced to buy products from Asia. And all that money just comes over here, making our nations much wealthier. And the thing is, don't blame the Asians. Don't blame, the average person in Asia has no idea what's going on. They don't care. They're just trying to survive like the average person in America or Europe, anywhere else. You got to blame your politicians, or you got to blame yourself if you're someone who supported these politicians, because you voted them in. You got to blame yourself. Part of the reason I say this, because there's I heard in New York there's like an increase by 800% on hate crimes towards Asians, and there was some crazy white guy who shot up Asian massage parlor, and 6 Asian women died, and you have lots of hate crime towards Asians. And I think a lot of it has to do with COVID-19, how their lives have been affected, how their economic situations have been affected, and they want to say it's our fault, but it's not our fault. It's your fault if you're actually supporting the politicians that's putting you in danger of actually being productive. It's your fault. You gotta look in the mirror. You're not smart enough to figure this out when you're like 25 to 50 something years old. It's your fault for not being educated. Pick up a book, learn something. There's no reason. And really, it came from one country. It came from China, and it's not the Chinese people's fault. And then, you got all this hate crime towards all Asians, because you have some ignorant, dumb people who aren't smart enough to figure out that you have different Asian ethnic groups, different nations, but, just dumb people will be dumb people. They're not smart enough to figure it out. Unless they educate themselves, they will continue to be in the lower end, the lower spectrum of society. So, Joe Biden right now is Asia's #1 president. And the reason why he's Asia's #1 president is because he's getting a lot of support from people who don't know any better. And it's very interesting, because I actually look at the people who are attacking the Asians. And yeah, some of them, they look like they could be some, mega people, whatnot, and, the Trump supporters. But really, a good majority of them, or over 50%, they don't look like Trump supporters. They look like liberals or people leaning left. They're not the people who say, oh, it's the Chinese virus. No, you can look at them, and they're not those type of people supporting Trump. And so you got to rethink about why you have this hate towards Asian people, if you do, and how did it come down to this? Why is it that your area is not productive, your state's not productive? What happened to your jobs and all of that? And then think about the politicians who run that, and then, you know, when it's time to vote, vote the right way. But if you're ignorantly just placing hatred or anger towards the wrong people, you're always going to be in the life that you're going to be. But yeah, so I'll leave it as that.